So the first day in the kitchen for me was like this as a chef. The first time I ever felt at home, I became a sponge. I wanted to know what that chef was doing and what that chef was doing and what that prep was and what this was and what that was. I don't think you can experience anything without experiencing the opposite. And as much as joy is my motivator, you can't experience that without experiencing the heaviness of life. You got to walk through the valley. You got no choice. We've had a huge number of people through Chin Chin over the years, north of 3 million people. Assimilation is not the joy, and standing out is not the goal. Joy is the goal. I've always been an inquisitive kid. I'm still a kid now. I often joke that I've got 3 kids and my wife's got 4. We run 2 teams across the 2 floors. There's between 3 and 5 chefs upstairs in the production kitchen, depending on the day. There's 12 to 14 chefs in the service kitchen. And we really try and spread the processes of our cooking out between long and slow, large batch, and in the service kitchen, refined, elegant knife work, finishing of dressings, re-seasoning, adjusting of final dishes, so that there is a real sense of connection between the cooking processes and the guest experiences. The food at Chin Chin is predominantly Thai, heavily Southeast Asian inspired, and as such, we use a lot of secondary cuts. We use a lot of belly, we use brisket, we use shoulder, things that require a lot of time and effort to bring the best out of the meat. So the Convotherms have been amazing for that. Like, we can essentially put in at 10 o'clock at night and cook for the 15 hours so that by the time the staff are coming in the next morning, one team starts, the other team finishes. A Convotherm combi oven facilitates roasting, facilitates steaming, facilitates wet roasting, and it allows the kitchen to really nail how the day flows and what's going on. Things like the door that opens and slides right down the side so that it's space saving. It means that it's not taking up room in the kitchen and impeding the flow of service or the movement of staff. I mean, we run our ovens, they work 24/7. And so the quality has to be there, the build quality has to be there, the ease of cleanliness has to be there. All of those things go together to create what for us defines our needs, and Convotherm tick the boxes. Massaman curry has been on the menu since day one. We go through somewhere between like 250 and 400 kilos of brisket a week for that curry. Just a base seasoning for the meat, and then we cryovac, and that's gonna go in the oven, and we'll see that in 15 hours. We use a slow cooked brisket. It's in a Massaman curry base. It has peanuts, fresh pineapple, confit shallots, and steamed kipfler potatoes in it. The thickness and the richness of the curry allows those spice notes to sit on the palate for a very long time. And it's nutty and floral and aromatic and delicious and mellow, but with these deep spice notes that come through. Because it's quite a thick, rich, almost gravy-like consistency, you're left with this heady, rich, delicious flavour. It's yummy. As a kid, I was like the fussiest kid on the planet, you know? I would eat porridge and I would eat spaghetti with butter and chicken stock cubes on top, crushed over the top. And then one day Mum cooked a Mexican bean dish, a frioli dish, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, what's this? I think that was the moment the door opened and I ended up in a kitchen as a kitchenette. So the first day in the kitchen for me was like this as a chef. It's the first time I ever felt at home and in a safe zone and in a space where I felt I could truly be me. Okay, so the coconut stock, classic coconut stock, coconut cream. So you get this rich, meaty, coconut creamy stock. And we basically just put fresh aromats in there each time. Lime leaf, coriander root, lemongrass if we've got it, chili, galangal, just some of those aromatic flavors, just to bring an extra level of complexity to the meat as it braises. I became a sponge. I wanted to know what that chef was doing and what that chef was doing and what that prep was and what this was and what that was. And in the kitchen in those days, I would just eat stuff voraciously, like knowledge and food. I would chew on dried spices to understand, and my brain would go, right, that's what that flavor is, okay. You could taste gaps, you could taste holes, because you're like, if I added this, there's an extra layer of complexity that could come into this dish. The lamb dish is an ode to a classic Burmese butterbean dish. I've twisted it and tweaked it to the Chin Chin experience. I discovered many years ago when my wife and I did a trek right up to the Burmese border that borders are only in our mind. I think if we take off the blinkers and take off our own sense of need for this to be from here, I think we start to realize that food is influenced from all over. And you know what, until this moment right now, I'd never actually connected my love for beans with the fact that one of the first dishes, if not the first dish that actually ever blew my mind, was a bean dish. There needs to be authenticity, there needs to be integrity, but there's no reason why this and this can't all sit side by side. Unfortunately, my mum didn't survive long enough to be part of this journey in my life. I don't think you can experience anything without experiencing the opposite.
Oh, but yeah, I'll give you some food, hold on.
And as much as joy is my motivator, you can't experience that without experiencing pain and grief and the heaviness of life. There are certain things that I anchor myself to that allow me to wake up and stay connected, right? The anchor points are really important. This space, my home space, my family space is critical to that. This is it's a work in progress, and we're sort of, each season we sort of get a better understanding of what works and what didn't. And they're important because without those moments, I don't get to link the dots between what my food is and how it relates to people, right? I think my life placed me where I needed to be, and the things I've experienced have helped define who I am and the way I deal with things. You know, Chin Chin is such a glorious place. It's such a place for joy and for celebration and for losing fear. The world was not an instantly easy place. I was bullied as a kid, I was different, I was not the norm. I have a birthmark on the back of my leg that's huge, and I think it was in year 1 where another kid was bullying me about it, and so I thumped him in the nose. What are you doing? And I explained, and she said, right, you can either choose to be at the brunt of that for the rest of your life, or you can choose to be at peace with the fact that you've got something different in your leg and it will never bother you again.
Bonjour, ça va? Good, how are you? Thank you very much. Chefs, look at this.
Assimilation is not the joy.
Try that one.
And standing out is not the goal. Joy is the goal. When I look at a dish like this tofu dish, it's all about looking at the dining experience as a whole and the guest experience as a whole and saying, what separates every guest from sharing a similar experience? From the very beginning, we've always referred to it as the People's Restaurant. We've had a huge number of people through Chin Chin over the years, north of 3 million people over 14 years. It's the sort of place that you can happily share with a guest from out of town. You can recommend to your friends, you can recommend to your family, to your cousins, to your best mates from Perth or from New York or from London. It's an opportunity to escape the intensity of the everyday, because let's face it, life's intense, and to have spaces within the city that you live in that can help you escape that is wonderful, and that's what Chin Chin is. And if salmon stands in the way of vegetarians or vegans or non-fish eaters getting to enjoy a dish that so many other people have enjoyed over the years, what way can I change that? I want them to all eat it and go, oh my God, this dish is delicious. I like Asian desserts. And of all of those dishes, white sticky rice has been up there since the first time I ever tried it as one of my favourite things on the planet. It's delicious, and we basically soak this overnight. We're going to steam it. Whew. And look at that, a little bit of foggy on the glasses. And we'll see that in an hour or so. And we only use mangoes when they are Australian and premium. And these mangoes, they're sweet. There's an element, almost a citrusy, like lime-scented note to them. The mung bean is our little twist on the traditional fried mung bean garnish. The freeze-dried raspberries bring texture and a bit of tartness. So there's crunch and there's sweetness and there's saltiness in the rice, and there's just flavors and layers, and I love it. It's delicious.
This is everybody. All right, guys, tonight we have 249 booked. It's pretty slow until 6 p.m. where the first rush hits. The weather's quite nice as well, so I think it might be a little bit busier too with the walk-ins. 1, 2, 3.
Benjamin Cooper is the biggest legend on the planet.
Oh, yeah!
You got to walk through the valley. You got no choice.
Good, but a little bit runny. Add some more peanuts inside and bring it back to the boil and help it bring back down, okay?
Yes, Chef.
Nice work, Chef.
If you keep walking, the sunshine and the rainbows and the joy are out there somewhere. And if my food can be of sustenance on that journey to help just keep you driving forward, that brings me peace. We want people to come here and feel appreciated and respected, because for me that's the most important thing of all.
It's fun. There's no place like Chin Chin.
Chin Chin forever!
Chin Chin's home.
My home. See,
See tattoo? Homebody.